were at that opening press, that because I want to find that. It looks insane. The I just bought the team press conference where he's pointing over at Tex Schramm, they said, and he's like, "I want your job." Like he's basically firing him there without firing him.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, Tex had the look of somebody who just passed away. Like his best friend just died, and in essence, his best not his he wasn't best friends with Landry, but they were kind of tied together. He had just flown back from Austin, where a 29-year working relationship had just been blown up, and he knew what was ahead. He knew that it was the end of the Cowboys as we knew it. And I will say this, and I'm only saying this because I know I could have done this. Netflix made a huge mistake not interviewing me, and I'm not saying that because I wanted airtime, and it has nothing to do with that. But I can honestly say that there's nobody in the business that knows more about what happened during the 2 months prior to Jerry buying the team and the 2 months after Jerry buying the team. Nobody knows more than me, and there was so much I could have added to that if they had just asked. And they wound up interviewing Skip Bayless and Dale Hansen, neither of whom was involved in the day-to-day goings on of that story. I mean, we were on that story for a long time. But whatever. I mean, they're lost.
give us a taste of what we might have missed out on, just because it was certainly a Jerry puff piece in the end.
Yeah. Well, what happened was, Bum Bright desperately needed to sell the team because he was having major financial problems. And Tex was his point person on the sale. And anytime somebody had contacted Bright about buying the team, he just defer him right, send him right to Tex. Because Bright was as hands-off an owner as there ever was in NFL history. So anyhow, Bright kept getting these inquiries from people who had a lot of money, and he'd go, "Okay, go talk to Tex." And then Tex would call him up after sitting down with the guy and said, "No, this guy's no good." And he kept eliminating candidate after candidate after candidate until Bright figured out the reason that Tex was eliminating these people is because these candidates were saying, "I'm going to replace you and I'm going to replace Landry, or I'm going to come in and, the whole everything is changing." So Tex knew from those interviews with these potential candidates that his time was over. So he was trying to find somebody and handpick somebody that would keep things the way they were. And so when Bright finally got wind of that, Bright at the end, his business was falling apart, but he was not, he was a bright man. I was going to say he's not a stupid man. I just want to say he was a smart guy. And so when he found out that Tex was putting the kibosh and sabotaging every candidate, when Jerry Jones stepped up to the plate, he didn't let Tex meet him.
So timing helped Jerry Jones too. It might have been sold to someone else previous to that.
Very, very possibly. And so the other part of the backstory here, there was a guy named Tom Murray, and I believe he worked for Channel 5. He was the backup to Scott Murray when he was at Channel 5. Tom Murray broke the story that Jerry Jones, this is one of the low moments of my career. Tom breaks the story that Jerry Jones buys the team and he's going to hire Jimmy Johnson and fire Tom Landry. Tom Murray was so far ahead of everybody on that story that when he did this report on the news at 10 o'clock that night, he did it from the University of Miami campus to announce that Jimmy Johnson was going to be the new coach of the Cowboys.
Dang.
He had called Tex to say, "I'm calling, to get your comment on this." And Tex goes, "Young man, this is career suicide for you. I don't know where you're getting this, but there's no truth to it." Well, where Tom Murray was getting it is either his frat brother or his college buddy was the head of the financial company that was handling the sale for Bum Bright. So he had an impeccable source. And he didn't need Tex to confirm it because Tex was totally out of the loop on it. It was as news to Tex as it was to everybody watching the news that night. I was in Las Vegas because on the side, I used to cover boxing for the morning news. I was covering a Tyson fight the next day. I get a call from my office. It's, 10 o'clock Dallas time or whatever. And what do you know about this? I said, I don't know. I've been writing about boxing all week. It's middle of February. You know, we had another guy that was covering the Cowboys. I was the NFL writer. I'm probably giving you guys much more than you want to know. But I flew home. I skipped the fight and I flew home. And so I was there for the Saturday Night Massacre.
Maybe a low moment for you in your career, if you see it that way, but a much lower moment for Tex Schramm, who was finding out he was being fired by the Weekend guy.
Yeah. Well, it was a low moment for me because I was so competitive.
Sure.
That I hated not having to break on that story. But Tex was a very, you can feel, most people had a lot of compassion for Tex at that point because he just looked so forlorn. And, you know, Jerry gets up there and says, this is like Christmas to me. Meanwhile, the city is in mourning over Landry. And here's the only problem I had with Cowboy fans, all right? Very, very hypocritical. Brad Sham had the most listened to talk show in Dallas in those days. Every call during the 1988 season as the Cowboys were going 3-13, Landry's got to be fired. Landry's got to be fired. Schramm's got to have some guts and fire Landry. We can't go on with Landry. The game is passing him by. So then 2 months later, this guy from Arkansas comes in and he fires Landry, did exactly what the fans wanted, but they didn't want some outsider coming in. They wanted Tex to do it. And Tex didn't want to do it. You know who Tex wanted as the next coach of the Cowboys? Jimmy Johnson.
Oh, wow.
He called Jimmy Johnson during the 1988 season and says, here's the thing. I'm trying to push Tom out, but it's not going to be easy. I want you to come here as a defensive coordinator. And as soon as I can get Tom to retire, you'll be the head coach of the Cowboys. And Jimmy didn't want any part of that.
That's incredible. I wonder how that would have worked out.
Yeah, Jerry does not want that in the documentary.
Well, but